Good morning. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. Welcome, man. This has been some crazy energy. We've been following a lot of different kinds of charts and measurements, and everything seems to be spiking in a different way, like unique to the way that we usually measure this. It's really interesting to kind of be in this energy space right now. Um, I'm noticing for me, and though maybe a lot of you will be, resonating with this too, with these energy that are coming in. I'm noticing my body doesn't feel so stabilized as it usually does, right? Like not only erratic sleep and energy swings, but also like some serious stuff with the heart palpitations and heart related stuff. I've been noticing a lot of throat stuff too, you know what I mean? Like throat chakra kind of things coming in. Along with that though, I am in such a download mode. I was remarking to a fellow traveler, that we're it feels like yesterday and kind of today too. It feels like we've all gone out in the field, done field work, but we've all gone exact opposite directions from one another. And we went through what they were actually calling the week of traumas. That was the week we just completed, the week of traumas. And that's why, why? I don't know if why is the right word, but that's one of the things we all experienced last week. We activations all week long, also known as triggers. A lot of emotion bursts coming up and this weird sensation connected to it, making it earmarked to know it's not yours exactly, but it's big and swells through quickly. It's been, so bouts of crying, bouts of elation, bouts of depression, just these bouts of emotion, and surging up so quickly that there doesn't usually seem to be a reason for it. What's more, it also seems to be like one of those, where you're like, wow, I really overreacted. Why did I do that? Or that made me so much happier than I'm used to, that kind of thing too. Anyway, all of this stuff, all these different emotions coming in. What's really consistent too is the sensation of global grief or deep grief, mourning, just this real melancholy kind of way of energy. And if you tap into it, we're sensing most of the time, we're sensing those outside of us that aren't you. And so this is an empathic expression of emotion, release of emotion. And along with that, there's been, a lot of people who have what we call like been double dippers, where they have this sensation from the outside and within because they're also experiencing some type of grief that's been, like the passing of a fur baby or, a family member or friend, you know, a lot of different stuff like that. And so if that's you, I just want you to know that you're not alone and that you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? It's a weird sensation when it comes and it's like we want to figure it out and it's okay. We don't need to really know why it's there. What it needs is just to be felt so it can be expressed and released. And along with that, again, the appetite thing going on. I'm back to like, I'm really not all that interested in food, and we tend to notice ourselves doing that during peak energy times. By the way, I know a lot of you know what's going on with this 3i Atlas, that there's a really big peak day. The comet 3i Atlas passes perihelion on the 29th for us. So it's at 11:44 a.m. UTC time on the 30th, right? So that's Tuesday slash Wednesday for the Northern Hemisphere, right? And then that's Wednesday slash Thursday for the Southern Hemisphere, because it actually goes from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. UTC time, but the peak moment is at 11:44 UTC time. So you got to translate that for your own local time. This moment this influx of energy starts to be delivered, there is a lot of kind of conversation on things that will occur there. And with that, we're living in the time of the prophecies of many. In fact, it's remarked. I actually took notes and I don't know where I put them. I kept them out, I thought. However, it's to do with the prophecies of the Hopi in particular, where right now the Kachina beings of light, the blue star, will return in a spiral motion. It'll come, and it first flashed red, and the red was the cleansing, that the signal was expected. The Hopi had told it before. And the blue is the awakening. It's now blue. It's blue, and it's moving in a spiral motion, kind of like a corkscrew through, as it moves. And it's like rippling the everything around us. It's happening. And it's the part of this prophecy is they call it the great purification. What's fascinating is the great purification is what it's called by the Hopi, but if you look through the different ways of knowing, it's also called weighing of the heart by the Egyptians. It's the time of judgment by the Christians, return of the Lord of the light by the Mayans. These are all the script of the people, right? And the Hopi of the word, the oral tradition of it, that was also remarked and left behind for us to find in the Choctaw Canyons and in all these different places, in Sedona, Arizona, and all along the Grand Canyon. And there's just so much we're here. We're here now. And this is the beautiful thing too, is that the coming of the Kachina beings, as they come, then they beckon, they invite, who are the watchers. Now, what they mean by the watchers are the ones that bring mirrors. And they bring mirrors to show you what you're experiencing, right? And this isn't an actual, like, literal thing but it is in a way that it reflects who you are, so you can see yourself. And when we are in fear, then we will feel the fear, right? And then when we are in love, we will feel the love. And it's a way of just saying, see, this is where you're off here a little bit, tilt a little bit more over to the love, it's showing you where your balance is. And it's not meant to cause you fear, only so you may see yourself. And it's beautiful. What's that? We're here now. We're here. And it's coming up in just a couple of days. But we're already here. And we're also going to expect a lot more solar flares, the closer it gets to the sun, So there's a lot to this. Anyway, I just wanted to remark on that because it's such a beautiful and profound thing that's happening in our lifetimes right now. Welcome. Good to see everybody here. It's Chef Dab. Good to see you. Jessica's here. Hey, good to see you, Joshua. Evening, folks, says Mystical Insight UK. Good to see you, hon. At least yours is cool and looks like flow. You guys must be talking among one another, because I only see the comments that you can see from once I start the conversation. I feel great except the headaches. Actually, I've been noticing these headaches too. Thank you for mentioning it. And that for me has been connected to drinking more water again, which is funny because I had just remarked to someone, I'm like, I'm noticing I'm not needing as much water. Not anymore. All of a sudden, it's the most bizarre. And then my daughter and I were talking just now, and I'm like, hey, your chapped lipped, like both of us had gone through that. And now it's like, oh, we need to remember our water. So if that's you, but I've noticed that the water and the salt really do help the headaches, but they don't make it go all the way away. It's like for me, a dull ache, just like an awareness that it's there. Occasionally I get phantom tooth pain. Yes, I've been having it. That was what I meant by I was meaning to go up and follow the different chakras, things that were happening, and the Kachina blue being that was happening felt more important, and I got distracted. But yeah, this whole throat and chakra area, a lot of sinus related stuff people are reporting. I'm noticing a lot of ear stuff, like my ear, and I'm not just talking about ringing of the ears, but of course, that has been something that has changed octaves too. It's very interesting. It's There's something going on with the ear area. It feels like clearing of some kind. Anyhow, along with that though, that is, I almost like noticing your heartbeat in like an area where you no longer have a tooth, because I have that, like I got teeth, but I don't have all of them, and like the areas where I there really shouldn't be, you wouldn't expect there to be tooth pain, there is. It's weird. I've noticed that also, just the past 2 days especially. Yeah. And yes, very deep grief at times. Yeah. Right, Tommy. It's weird. And then when it's coming in, it's just meant to be observed. Like lean into it, let yourself feel it. And by feeling it, lets it move through and go. And that's the ultimate desire, at least for me. You know, my teeth are fine, was at the dentist last week. Right. It is. It's weird stuff, dude. It's weird stuff. Yeah, this mouth thing has really been a thing for me. I've just noticed it like the past little bit here, you know. Same here with the random teeth pain. Deborah's having it too. Very fascinating how many of us are having that. Jim Neal says, good morning. Good to see you, Jim. Welcome. Huge hugs, all. So many tears today. Release feels like the whole body. That's right, Kaz. So Kaz and I were talking in our. We had a really cool show a couple days ago. So if you get a chance, you haven't seen it, it was a lot of fun. We talked about some of the stuff that I've already discussed too. I just wanted to be sure that it came back up because it's something that's happening now. Wow, it's not to be warned about. It's to be like celebrated about. I was actually out in the rain. That's like my hair is still super wet. Not feeling good on most days the last 2 days. Yeah, it's been weird. It's been like this for me. I think I remarked at the beginning that it was like that too. But yeah, it feels like I'm having these moments where like I'm observing myself. I'm like, wow, this is like really awesome. I'm really, but like this in my body energy kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So then it kind of pulls your emotion down. It's really weird. Like, I don't know how it seems different or new or something I haven't had for a while anyway, where it's shifting. So like this, in the way that it is. Definitely been feeling the hard stuff lately. Yeah, dude, I've been feeling it too. Yolanda gave a channel message from the Arcturians about heart restructuring on the same day that intense heart fluctuations began for me. Wow, I'm going to check that out. Thank you for telling me. I love Yolanda Marie's stuff. I'm pretty sure, actually, that she and Guardian will be on the show on the 5th. So not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. She's awesome. I love all of her content and just the message that she brings forward. If you get a chance, she's at Yolanda Marie channels on YouTube. So. Yeah, dude, Deborah. It just where the energy that we're in right now, it's just like we lean into it, let ourselves be there, be in it, and then it can flow through. And some of it is lean into it and see that it's love, right? Breath work is mandatory, right? So much of this, the science of breathing, like it seems so silly. You're like, well, I just do that regularly. I do that when I'm not even thinking about it. Well, yeah, like this wow, it just changes it. It moves your frequency when you do that real shallow breathing. It's learning to breathe into an expanding belly when you can. Like I'm finding myself feeling kind of stuffed up right now, but typically try to breathe in through your nose while you extend your diaphragm, and like so you extend your belly when you breathe like you do in meditation, learning how to do that kind of breathing a little bit more regularly. There's a lot to it, there's a lot more than that, but you know dragon breathing is something that's kind of fun to experiment with all kinds of different stuff that one way to reset your energy is to do 2 sharp breaths in and an exhalation out, the long and drawn out. That really does, like, so I'll do the 2 shallow and then I'll fill up, right? So it's like, and then you fill up your belly all the way, and then And when you practice that, you want to really exit all of the breath before you intake again. And doing this is actually expanding all of this area, helping your heart space. It like massages your heart and also expands your lungs in a way that most of us haven't been expanding. We don't realize the capacity our lungs actually have because they're like an underused muscle, along with like really leaning forward like this rather than sitting up. I could set up even further, but I'm always trying to be in the where the camera is. The camera is on the bottom of my computer screen. It's really odd. And it's a all in one kind of thing. So anyway, and like doing that where helps that muscle, and as your lungs can expand more, sitting up in a more like aligned posture is easier to do. Like I've noticed it just as I did it just now, so there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things. The science of breath, there's so much to it. Oh, they're talking to each other, excuse me. Yes, experiencing a lot of empathy. Yeah, a lot of people are feeling some kind of way right now out there. And a lot of people are feeling awesome too. So it's like walking through a crowd and everyone's on their phone, except they're not. You can hear them like on speakerphone, and because you can hear them and feel them as you walk through this crowd of the world, even if you're, you know, tuning into somebody in China or some other, distant location. It's just as if you're walking by them in a busy, you know, foot traffic community space. Yes, I'm hungry, but nothing satisfies. And it's basically like I'm hungry, but don't want to put food in my body. Weird. Yes, Tommy, me too. It's so weird. Like, I'll even go to the steps of like getting all these ingredients out. Like, I'm going to make myself something, you know? And then it's just like, oh, well, I'm a mom, so I also have somebody else to feed. And, I always think that maybe I'll make this food and enjoying her. You know what I mean? That's like the plan there. And by the time that I'm done cooking it, I'm just like, I'll just sit here and hang out while you eat. And then, I'm good. I'll have some tea, on occasion I'll have my juice or something, but it's weird. And I feel like every time I go through I call this unplanned fasting, and it's fascinating how many people have it all happen at the same time. However, by the way, we also will notice a lot of people who have the opposite happening at the same time. No one's doing anything wrong. Okay. It's not that you're not on doing something, well, okay. Because some people will notice they just have to get their feet on, like they're like hungry, get out the way. And some are the other way at the same time. And whatever it is that happens with you, that's correct for you. And sometimes I noticed for me that changed. In about a decade or so ago, I was the other way too. Not to say that it has anything to do with healing the emotional bodies, but that's just something that's happened with mine. You know what I mean? And so, anyway, I will notice a dramatic change in my food intake or lack thereof during the preparation window of an amazing energy. And the preparation, it's kind of funny to say that because we're in this amazing energy right now. It's all being delivered to us. It's like the divine feminine nurturing aspect of Lionsgate right now is what it feels like. This pure, beautiful, white, blue light of energy, and so with it, we're going to notice a lot of shifting and a lot of recalling of self because we're in a little bit more of a harmony and balance than we've ever been ever as a species. And when our neighbors, when whether they be distant countries or next door, when our neighbors become more aligned, then we're not having to work the field so much, energetically. And as we don't have to like transmute the energy around us as much, then we get to really focus on the energy within. And that's what this is about, being here. And so when I'm doing that, I tend to just not eat. And I'm not telling you to stop eating on purpose. It's just a thing that's happening. You just naturally you lose your appetite. You're noticing I notice that's when I really get into the teas. Like I like tea and I really don't forget the tea exactly. I just don't get around to it until I'm in these fasting windows as much as I am doing now. So anyway, a lot to do with that, happening right now. If that's you. Happy day, Mila and all. Good to see you, Wendy. Um, Leaving a powwow now. Yeah, happy powwow. And yeah, dude, that's cool that you're there. Um, a lot of incredible things happened yesterday. I found out there's a lot of powwows and a lot of different sacred ceremonies this weekend, lining up with uh, the window right before the peak of this annual thinning of the veil, which is now. Started at 10:10 to October 10th, and it will continue till officially November 10th, though right after is the 11:11 portal. And I've always just seen it as being thin, like that whole annual energy being between 10:10 and 11:11. Anyhow, with that, this spike of energy that we're in, there's also more to come. So there's so much of this clearing out. Remember how how Spirit had said that yesterday was the trauma release day, and this has been the week of triggers. So it's really fascinating, you know, but it just, and, and I talked to 4 different people who are going to 4 different places to do 4 different ayahuasca ceremonies. I talked to a handful of people who are all going to different spiritual retreats. There's a lot of people presenting in a sacred healing way right now. Super fascinating. Hey, Shelly, good to see you. I've been experiencing a lot of knee and low back pain. Also, sinus congestion and voice changes. Has anyone experienced their eyes change color? My eyes actually do change color. They always have. I have like this hazelish green eyes, and they'll change based on my emotion, like very subtly, but sometimes more dramatically, So I feel like, I know that's super common. People who have pigment that is hazel. I have some siblings who their eyes are just straight up hazel, and so um, that is me. But is it happening more? I actually don't look at myself very much. Like even when I'm live, I'm not looking at me. I'm looking at, what you guys written or the guest. I'll look at the guest eyes while I'm in, you know, they're the person I'm in the session with. Anyway, so I don't know. However, I can say that that does happen. And also having to do with this sinus stuff, I'm really noticing that too. And there's something also about the limb spaces here. They really want to be like, I don't know, expressed more. I have been noticing that there's a space. I'm going to take this comment away so you can see what I'm pointing at. There's a space like right there, like the little spot. And it feels like it's energetic more than physical. There's something like right there being cleared. Like I still have a little bit of distance before my clavicle begins, my whatever people call it's called clavicle. I don't know, or I can't remember. I always forget the common name for this bone. Anyway, collarbone, the collarbone. And so, but it's just above, like that spot right there. There's something about that, and there's a lot of people who have been talking about it. And also the stuff to do with this the lower back. Here's Deborah saying lower back and knee, but eyes are still dark brown. That's cool that you're noticing. I'm glad that more people do than I do. With the back stuff, I'm really noticing it. And that's actually where the breath stuff came in, was all of this. That was when it got commented on earlier. I'm like, that's fun that this is something that I've just been guided to be aware of more and talk about. Than before. Sorry, I'm just seeing some weird stuff. They just changed this streaming thing. So there's a picture of me just before I started drinking my water, and I was just about to drink some water. So I was like, was that just telling the future? I know. It's crazy. Anyway, I didn't know they did a still shot right before we go live. That's hilarious. Um, anyhow, um, with the back stuff, it comes in the breath, and with the breath is with the alignment of the back. And when we have an aligned back, the energy is is more can flow more efficiently, and with less resistance. Then it's a more enjoyable flow. And so I'm noticing that's what this is all about. Honestly, there's something about, we line up our back when we do our chakra stuff, and we want to line up our chakras. However, what's happening on top of that, which is more needed now than before, is what I meant to finish saying. What we're having more than on top of that is this energy that's been connected to, like, the brain stem, like upper neck kind of area. There's this energy that's been kind of consistent for the majority of those who I've ever interacted with in my life. There's this energy that's been connected there that we're releasing. And as we release it, it kind of is realized it's some kind of a density. And as we do that, there's this whole flow and recorrection of the spinal, neck, and brainstem space. And this is all happening as a result of all of our previous incarnations, all of our previous knowledge being redelivered in the center. Right here, you go to the very, very back behind the nose, you'll have the hippocampus, which is responsible for long-term memory. There's a whole thing about this I won't go into, but Spirit showed this all to me at, like, in a series of 3 days. And then on the third day, when the last piece was put before me, did I even know why they were even random things, you think, right? Just showing up. Anyhow, and then on the 25th of March this year was in this, they showed that the delivery of the light with this long-term memory being presented in the hippocampus will release the pineal gland and the space just below the hippocampus, which is this brain stem space. And the densities being released from there, we find relief from this low self-worth talk. And there's also not just an emotional, spiritual level, but we're an energetic as well. We're also having a physical note of release. And we're also noticing, like, ingrown hairs, or some type of weird, like, zits, like weird stuff going on in, like, the hairline and down, all the way down the neck. A lot of people, at one point I had a weird rash that went all the way down my spine, like perfectly just down my spine. And as that was right after the release truly began. So yes, we are healing this. Everyone, lower and upper back is what's mostly noted. And then the place in the center, it's been feeling like it's coming in and out of numbness, like the skin itself. Like there's something going on here. I do feel like it does also have to do in some ways with the energetic wings as well. So that was a lot. There's a lot going on there. I'm really glad you brought that up. Thank you both. Feeling exhausted by all the chaos. I could just sleep. Yeah. Angel Love, I totally get you. It's crazy. And that's the other part. That's why so many of us are feeling like this grief and this, even a lot of this shame and like life review kind of stuff of like realizing what you have in this world, and finding a more balanced way of correcting this path. All the stuff's coming up. And so if you are, I lovingly call individuals who aren't aware of the energy and where this energy is, kind of the idea of it, at least. I call them the muggles, lovingly, the non-magical folk. And the individuals who are in such conflict seem to be these individuals. Now, I'm not saying that's like a cut and dry kind of thing. Everyone, you'd be surprised how many more people have been reaching out for sessions recently, like new people who I haven't talked to. And it's, I've slowly gotten the same, mostly the same people coming through, on a regular basis. I have some people I meet with every week, and others I meet with every other week or every month, that kind of thing. Though what I'm saying is there's a whole bunch of there's it's time to talk kind of stuff. It's, ready to heal. And with that, we're also seeing that those that don't know what's going on are like in crisis energy wise, whether they actually present as that way. You can feel it, because just like a bird will flee before a natural weather event, so too do we have this sixth sense. And if we don't know what the shifting energy means, it causes alarm, panic, and reaction. And so a lot of people outside of us, like at the grocery store, down the block, there's a lot of people who are, still kind of not really aware of this, that this new incoming energy can really cause panic. And not only them, but for us. I still get that way. We'll get a flow of energy, abrupt and profound, and it's like, wait, what's that? Just because it's, if I feel a change in the force, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of a normal thing, however, to stay in that, because then they're like, they don't know why they're panicking, but they believe on some level in their intuition, their gut feeling, that they know there has to be something about to happen. And then you go home and you turn on the news, you turn on the radio in the car, you turning on the fear porn of the world, and it must be that, and then there's that whole conflict, and so that's, in a nutshell, what we've been feeling, right? And it can be very exhausting. What we can do to help ourselves as well as those around us is just to swell that ball of love light that we talk about so frequently, expanding your heart center, and every time that you breathe, notice that it's growing bigger and bigger. And it's this beautiful white light, right? And it's growing bigger and bigger. And pretty soon it's so big at 333. Pretty soon this love ball is so big that it overwhelms your energetic bubble around you, right? And it's growing beyond the size of your room and the house that you're in, and so on and so forth. And as you do that, then not only is there a buffer between you and all of that chaotic energy that's happening, but which gives the chaotic energy transmutation, because your energy is transmuting it out here in the far reaches of your energy field. It's not getting to your energy field. And you're at the same time refilling your own energetic field within the center of you and pushing off like the flies that come along. We get little densities that stick to us. It's like wiping your feet. You got to clean your energy field, right? And so this is something that we find ourselves doing more often. And when we do this, I find not only do the muffled yelling that you hear in the different houses in this echoing neighborhood stop, it stops when I do that. It stops. And then you find that the chaos settles and we can release. We've healed them, we've healed us, and now we can back into the balance of peace and love and oneness again. And you get to prove to yourself how powerful you are. The idea that you're not powerful is bullshit. It is. It drives me crazy how long I believed in that false paradigm, that false narrative. We are all so powerful. Yeah, we are equal. We are equally powerful. It's just about practice and belief. If you don't believe what you're doing, no matter what it is you're doing, if you're not putting yourself into the thing, it's going to come up half-assed, subpar, right? Well, same is true with belief, and that's why Archangel Michael says, suspend your disbelief for 5 minutes a day. For 5 minutes a day, take a break and let yourself believe that all the awesome stuff is true. That all of the cool, even wows of everything is true. And once we practice that, it doesn't hurt you. It can't hurt anything, Once we practice that, then we find the gas pedal of spirit. It's going to accelerate you and rocket you into the fifth dimension of existence in a way that is unseen in typical experiences throughout our historical, ancestry, recent family. And that's something else. As this Kachina being now enters our energetic area, our space, this is the delivery and the invitation into the fifth world. That's how the Hopi speak it. The Kachina are light beings, they're beings, individuals from this world that is a different world. And if they overlap, and it's crazy, I know, but like it's a sphere on a sphere that coexists with the sphere, except the lower sphere doesn't feel or know the upper sphere. It's really weird. But as they come, then we get to choose the fifth world. And by choosing the fifth world, all that you need to do to choose the fifth world is to be in a place of love. And the easiest way to be in the place of love is to blow your energy sphere up, like I explained, with a white light. As you expand, that's love. Love is light and light is love. There's no separating the two. And so when we do that, then we can release ourselves and allow ourselves, at least for a moment, to feel self-love, to honor self, and to be in this joy of you're awesome. And I'm equally awesome to everyone else, is what humility means. It doesn't mean to lower yourself. It means to find the equal playing field, and we're all equally powerful in this loving place. With self-love, then we can experience other love in such a deep, profound way that we'd never experienced before. I understood that, but I didn't really truly understand it until I got to the point that I did with self-love, after a whole lifetime of self-hatred and disgust. you know anyway, as we stand in this place, the energy of self-love, that is how the opposite of fear is love. And when we stand in a pure heart, the light cannot harm you. Pure heart means a loving heart. So I've been going on with a lot of channeling information for most of this conversation. So I hope I can get to most of your comments. Interesting. I have not noticed the eye change, but I'm still full of shit. Feet feel like they are made of lead. Yeah, I've been feeling like that too. Like you feel like you're walking through a river. Like I used to fly fish a lot. It feels like you're walking and you got all that water in your pocket. Hi, everybody. Good to see you, Rhonda. Good to be here. Welcome, Rhonda. Um, hello. Love this podcast. Thank you, Rockstar M5542. I'm really happy to have you here. Thanks, Mila. I always forget the water and salt. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that you'll be aware of it. It's something. Me too. Me too. And then, oh yeah, recorrect. I am glad to say that I have traded chronic constipation for heart palpitations. Laugh out loud. A great trade. That's, yeah, you know what? There's always a space of energy to be healed in, right? And it's interesting to find, where we end up in different points. Purple Rain by Prince just came on in the background. Feels very significant. It's playing in the rain, right? I think that's what you're referring to. My hair gets all kind of like, when it gets humid too, my hair changes. It's been interesting living so far south. Yes, chapped lips and dry hair and dry cuticles. It's really weird. It's really weird because it's so humid, so to have this kind of stuff, but I am noticing, oh yeah, we need to start with the water again. I've been massaging my head and neck to get relief from the headaches. That really does help. Also putting like a cold or damp cloth on the back of your neck is really helpful too. But yeah, it's really weird. I've been noticing a lot of it has to do with third eye, and somehow the spot here at the base of your head is connected to the third eye somehow. I don't know how that works. I just energetically, it's true for me. My gums have been hurting forever, for months. Yeah, it's been weird. The more that we allow, so what I'll do is I usually will put like salt on my hand and I'll lick my palm and then drink a little bit of water after that. And then I'll also, because my body wants me to, I'll put some salt in a glass of water, and I won't like chug it, but I'll like drink it and let it like even like rinse my mouth with it, like swish it around. Well, I'm doing that because we absorb the salt, our tongue and our gums absorb the salt a lot better, more efficiently. In fact, it's something more like in the 80s percentile is absorbed if we have it in the mouth. Once it passes our esophagus, it drops down to like 2% is absorbed. And so that's why I do it that way. It does also cause relief in gut and gums when we rinse with salt water. We've always known that. I don't think I understood the energetic link. You know what I mean? Some of these things, there's these really simple home remedies are discounted because they're too simple. And they're not some new name on the side of a bottle of shiny pills. And it doesn't always have to be that. Sometimes it's just as simple as drinking more salt water and rinse it around in your mouth for a while before you swallow it. Or, you can spit it out, do whatever you feel like. It's crazy to see how much is absorbed differently that way though. Love Prince. So many great artists are no longer here. It's crazy. A lot of Prince stuff's been coming up lately. I think I'm supposed to go listen to some of his music or watch some of his videos or something. Then that was my 80s self that just popped up. I'm like, I should go watch this video. That's what I said before. Listen, MTV days when MTV was actually about music. I don't even remember last time that I tried clicking on a channel like that. I don't have any channels anymore. We don't do TV here. We do have YouTube and stuff like that, but anyway, been using a vibrating plate. Sure helps release the stuck energy. It's cool how much that also, if you can do some just simple qigong stuff, like standing up straight and then but your arms are long, you're like letting your arms sway back and forth, just like a little kid does, just letting yourself sway. Remember to do the tapping on the head. Like if you don't have something like this, which Deborah's talking about, which really does help. If you just remember to do the tapping, and like you are hugging yourself and moving the energy, you're moving your chi around. It really, really helps. It really, really does. Qigong. We're kind of starting to play around with Tai Chi, all YouTube, free video style. You know what I mean? I'm not like, but it's about playing with your chi because the chi needs to move, man. Dancing or doing like a couple hops. You don't even have to hop, but just, barely shaking your body up and down, bending your knees gently and just, bouncing. That really helps. All kinds of stuff right now. It's crazy. We're going to get some more energy from the sun really soon. I know that it's historically true and it feels true. I don't know, but most of us feel it as it leaves the sun too. They tell us it's not going to be here for this many days or whatever. And yeah, we do feel the impact when it comes. I feel it like a lot of us do before it does, though. I feel it when it leaves the sun or right around the same moment as it leaves the sun. So we are light beings. And if it's true what they say that it takes 8 minutes for light to get here, it would seem more natural that so too would we notice the energy within the 8-minute window, you know? It always seems to be on the molars. Yeah. Right. Sorry. Got it really loud. Mystical Insight UK. We're talking about earlier this feeling like almost like a ghostly or phantom pain in your gums. In particular, when it's notable, the most notable for me is when I have some parts of me that doesn't have the teeth that were there are no longer there. And in those places, that's when I notice it, because I'm like, but there's no teeth there. Something's going on there. And it's weird, and like was remarked by Mystical Insight. She had just gone to the dentist and all of her teeth are great. And then all of a sudden now she's having this phantom pain, this weird, it's weird. Yeah, this salt really helps. Same here. It it's always really been intense in my mouth, almost for 2 months or more, but more so the last few weeks, says Crystal, especially my gums. And then some days nothing at all. But the last few days was really intense. Yeah, it's really interesting, right? It's crazy how much of this gum, mouth, throat kind of stuff's happening. You know, that's the throat chakra. And what blocks the throat chakra are lies. And what are the lies that most of us tell? They're the lies we tell ourselves about ourselves. And you'd be surprised to hear, perhaps, that the lies that they're talking about are low self worth words, are, harsh statements towards yourself and your own truth. It's about speaking down to yourself. The muttering under the breath that you do when someone gives you a compliment, that you are telling yourself not to deserve. Those types of lies are what's really being released the most right now. And it really does help doing self affirmations. I know it sounds kooky. Every time I say the word self affirmation, when those words leave my mouth, I always think of that Saturday Night Live bit that I watched in the 80s along with all of you. Maybe it was the 90s. It was the Deep Thoughts period of Saturday Night Live. I was obsessed with the Deep Thoughts by Jack Henley. Anyway, and that guy's like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh dang it, people like me. And it made a mockery out of self affirmations. But strange as it may be, it's true. It really works. You'll see that the forerunner scientist regarding this study was Dr. Emoto, though there are many more that have come forward since his studies that were presented, where we can change the structure of water itself by positive or not so positive energies, thoughts, and words. Yeah, remember I noticed I said thoughts too, because most people think that unless they say it out loud, it doesn't count. How many times do we speak unlovingly to ourselves in our mind? It changes the frequency of the water, and it takes it out of balance, and we can bring it back into balance again. You know, your water can hear you. Speak kindly to yourself. You know, weird tone in my ear just one time. Interesting, Rockstar. Yeah, this has been really interesting to see the differences shifting in our ears lately. I've noticed, says Josh, that some teeth will hurt with increase in bodily pressures. Interesting. Nerve endings are linked together through the body and fluctuate in sync. I have noticed this too. And have you guys put that was yabba dabba da. Have you guys had like the spike energy? It feels like almost like electric shock or poke like it. I'm having that on occasion. Very, it seems to be in the same locations. It'll be like in the arm and the back, on my back at the same time. It's really weird, but this is just something that I've been having on and off for a while. A lot of us have also been noticing the whole knee and hip thing. That's been something that energy that makes a square. So if you standing, you'll notice, that if you draw a line in the air between the knees and the hips, that square, that energy right there is also being released and healed due to the long lasting the long lasting root chakra imbalance that we've been having. We've been fed for so long the insecurity and the lack paradigm, the code of lack, deficiency, and ability, and all that disempowering stuff that's happened. Now we're pulling that back, and as we do, we're noticing a rebalancing need for the energy in the knees and in the hips as a square. So it really does help to kind of like visualize a circle of light moving from one knee to the other and then outside down, or excuse me, I went the other way. I was visualizing the hips, but I was saying knees. Anyhow, through the hips and then down and through the knees and back up again. And this circular energy flow. It really does help balance that. So And then it does align some of this nerve endings that you talked about. It's really interesting that you said that. And I just was, that's really like it just spike energies, you know. Good day, everyone. Good to see you. Good to see you, Don. At the very least, bringing attention to different parts of your body help you release the energies that might be trapped there. Gentle, rhythmic breathing helps even more. That's right. It's all about release and observation, seeing and knowing and love and just honoring it. Like it's every energy, every emotion has the right to be experienced. So it can go. And then it can go. Tommy said, "Thank you, Tommy. Oh, thank you." It's a pair character bowing down saying thank you. Thank you, Tommy, very, very much. Thank you so much for the 999. I really appreciate that. Um, it's so true. Good to see you. I'm glad you're able to make it. Sit here and hang out while you eat, then just share at the dishes, then just stare at the dishes. Right on. I'm happy you're able to join. It's awesome. The Free Spirit 61 says, "Hi, Mila, sending love to you and Maddie and everyone else. Julianne, my daughter, went to the hospital yesterday because she has a very large kidney stone. I'm sending her love and healing and blessings balance. You know, it's fascinating to watch how much we're purging right now. Lots of people are talking about bathroom drip stuff, but then there's the stuff that people don't really notice to think about, um, that we're purging through our pores as well. So we're getting weird rashes, or just the skin is like drier, more dry, and like also just like people have been talking about never having eczema before, but kind of noticing this type of thing going on. I'll notice like these like bumps, basically little teeny tiny little bumps. They go away, but it's it helps when I take a Epsom salt bath. Like all of a sudden, all the bumps are gone. There's things that are being released through the pores of our skin just as much as through our saliva, our mucus. I meant, and going to the bathroom and stuff like that. We're also noticing more stuff coming out of the eyes. That's been reported so much this week. Like almost everybody seems to be having something going on with that. So unplanned fasting, indeed, it helps to it helps to let the body do its thing. It knows what it needs. It responds to the cosmos, even when our rational minds don't quite understand exactly. I so much in our lives we have had people, oh, you got to eat, and that's them loving you, though not only are they, um, they're not you, and your own body, or you're learning to know your own body, if at the very least. If you've made it to this conversation, then you are. And so as we slowly acknowledge our body more and more, then, and honoring what it is that it's asking us to do, then it'll speak to us more. We'll understand what's being said more, right? um, and that communication, it needs to have, like, a rapport needs to be built, because this it's like, at least for me, I noticed that I treated my body so poorly. I would just take an antacid instead of saying, oh, you don't like that food, that's something in there that's not good for us. You know what I mean? Instead of doing that, when I changed over, rather from doing that, I noticed that my body kind of felt like a scorned or neglected child, you know, like it didn't really want to talk to me, you know, and just showing my body that I'm listening, I would start to observe these what it wanted me to do with food specifically, and one thing that's kind of fun to do, you do this lean test, where you uh, are at the store or getting ready to make something, and you hold an item or be near to it, acknowledging that's what we're talking about, or and your body will. The lean test is the body will lean to it if it wants it and lean away if it doesn't. Slightly, you'll just notice it. Here's something that I've just noticed. It's a new thing over the past couple of years for me, is that I'll think about the thing, even if I'm not even next to it. I'll think about the thing, and That's when we have it already. We do. Like when someone says something that really sounds good to you, you start to drool, right? Or have you ever noticed that your body, when it doesn't want it, it's that kind of you feel a little bit sick, just a tiny bit. Well, you can do that same thing when you hold ingredients. I like to cook from fresh ingredients, and so I'm often grabbing different items, right? And like as I take it, my body will tell me to put it back. Or I want more of that than you were going to use. Like yes, use that and extra. It's weird, It's something that we do all the time sometimes if we're listening. There's a difference between a craving and an addictive craving. Those are two different things. Your craving is so your body really wants the thing. It'll feel different. As soon as you take that first bite, you feel all of a sudden you feel even more hungry. Like there's like this carnal drive for more food. And I don't think that's the right word I should have used there. Anyway, um, but that kind of like, and um, that is your natural body's response to telling you this is exactly what you need, right? So it's kind of hard to tell the difference. You learn after a while. Anyway, I'm spending a lot of time on that topic. It's just something that's happening. We're learning to talk to our bodies. Eventually, they start to talk to you like we can talk to each other. It's weird. I'm not talking about what it would look like from somebody outside of me. It's just it's like you're talking to spirit. Did a recording of the beautiful card we pulled the other day. Awesome. Thank you, Dark Angel 20, if helpful for anyone. Thank you, Cass Kelly. She was the guest on our show on Friday, and at her channel, you can go to the description of the video, and you'll see that her channel's in there. I think that's the right one. Please let me know, Kaz, if that's the right one. I put in the description of the conversation. If it's not, I would love to put the correct one in there for you. And then you can find her channel, and she does some awesome stuff. So thank you. I love the Dark Angel invocation. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. It was really fun having her on there. Yeah, she wrote it again. Okay. I'm doing God's work. Thank you. I'm not sure what part that was written in response to, but I really appreciate you saying that. I am fine. I should probably see what time that was, right? That wasn't very long ago. Um, I've often wondered if I was not doing what I'm doing now, what would I be doing instead? And I couldn't tell you that there would be something else that I'd rather do. Honestly, I really truly love what I do. It's so much fun, and it's so uplifting for everybody, to connect with all of you. And I'm so blessed and honored that the people who come to these meetings, to these lives, to the shows, as well as the meetings that we do on Zoom, are all so loving, so beautiful and compassionate. Like we can say whatever we want to say. No one gets offended. You can throw around the F bomb. I won't do it as much on YouTube. First, but I do have like a little bit more of a professional background, so I'm just used to turning that off. But as we meet in these places, it's just such a lovely, joyful thing that I get to have, and participate with all of you, is that you're all so awesome. You're all so loving. And I'll go to other places. I've been on other shows. I've been in the chats as well as on the screen, and the audience response and the way that they interact with one another, and things aren't as aligned consistently like it is here. And that's because of you. You do that. You're the ones who've chosen to fill this container with yourself. You're the ones who have come and have made these bonds, these everlasting soul bonds and ties with one another. And coming here every week, or sometimes I've noticed when people leave, but you always know they're going to come back. And you notice when they come back that it doesn't feel like they left, you know? And it's such a beautiful thing. That's a soul family. That's a real tribe. And I'm so honored to be in this position with you all, with such love and joy and family, so I just want to say thank you very much to each and every one of you for being the high vibe tribe, because you rock the world, and the world needs to be rocked. It's as it's finding, it's not supposed to have such an extreme pendulum. It's a conversation between divine masculine, divine feminine. It's not, all the time and then all the time, right? We're meant to, like we're doing now. That's what we're meant to do. And this rocking needs to happen. So it's kind of like it's been stuck, like the gas gauge, you tap, 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 you know, that same kind of concept. So anyway, you have all done such beautiful, beautiful work yourselves. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Um, Own Your Shit, the YouTube channel. Thank you. Own Your Shit. I love your name. That is so much fun. I remember the first time I read as you came on with that handle, and I just laughed and laughed. I thought about it after the show. I was like, that is kick ass. Lavender Sky Panther, I'm glad you came. I was going to find a comment from you because I was going to say Lavender Sky Panther, Varley is going to be on the show on Wednesday, I believe. If it doesn't work out for her, that's all good, but that's the plan. And so I just wanted to let people know that will be a fun conversation during the Comet 3i Atlas while it's passing its perihelion. And, that's going to be a pretty profound high frequency day. And lastly, on Friday, which is Halloween, we, in our world, we have little festivities and stuff that we're actually going to tomorrow. And instead of, they don't do trick-or-treating here like they do in other parts of the world that we've been in, but they do like a gathering like on the Monday before it. Therefore, Friday is open, and I've decided that normally I'll have a guest. Usually have a guest join me, but because it is Halloween, I want to do a live meditation. I haven't done a YouTube meditation for a while, and I feel like it's time that particular day. And so for that show, we're going to do a live YouTube meditation that'll be timeless and you can do after the fact. And you'll see an advertisement for that popping up, like not advertisement, I guess, but what's it called? I'll make the thumbnail and they'll show it's an upcoming event or something like that. Anyway, okay, cool. It's on. So yeah, she's coming. So she'll be here on Wednesday, and then Friday on Halloween. For the Northern Hemisphere, it'll be November 1st. It'll be at the 111 portal for the Southern Hemisphere on that day. And Eris will be in alignment with Mercury at its highest point in the evening sky. There's a lot happening. We have a lot of fascinating energy that's happening at that time. I just looked over and it said 404, which usually means error, and it was shifted to 405. There's something in that code. Anyway, Leah, good to see you, girl. I love all of you so much. Thank you. Thank you for who you are and for being here with us. And I will see you very soon. Know that you're loved and you're not alone. Aho blessings.